Welcome to BUCS Big Wednesday, powered by New Balance.
It's the final play, and look at the celebrations, look at how much it means to Northumbria.
And that is full time here, and Nottingham reigns supreme.
And he will take it in for the second Loughborough touchdown.
White will head for the corner, but he won't need to get there. The referee blows the full-time whistle.
Hello and welcome to Loughborough University. I'm Dan Routledge. Great for you to be here with us today. It's a super day of sport. We're starting out here with the wheelchair basketball final. We've got two teams who know how to win on this stage. It's the University of Worcester going up against the University of Nottingham. It promises to be an excellent clash, but who will be celebrating at the end? We've got a couple hours to find out here on BUCS Big Wednesday, powered by New Balance. Well, we're only 5 minutes away from the start of the game here in Loughborough University. Earlier even, I caught up with both coaches to see how they felt ahead of the game.
Development year for us. We've done really well bringing a scholar athlete in this year. That's helped us a lot, and the overall standard of the team compared to where we were at last year's really improved, and the atmosphere is fantastic at the minute. They're a really good group.
And at the other end of the floor, you see a pretty good team in Worcester. What do you have to do well to take them down?
Defensive's going to be key. I think they've got some great shooters. We know they're sort of stacked full of international athletes. Like, that's always going to be a challenge for a developing program like ours. But I think defense in these situations is key. If we can limit their easy offenses and keep the game tight, then obviously anything can happen.
And at the other end of the floor, offensively, I mean, they're a pretty good defensive team as well. How do you put a number on the board against them?
They're very good. They're a very quick, very aggressive team. I think the most important thing is that we break their defense down. If they play a really aggressive high line, we're going to struggle to get open looks. So the important thing is that we use our speed and use the right people to break the defense down to the edge of the key, and then we'll start to look for some open shots.
Good luck in the game. Thank you. Well, Lucas, first of all, congratulations on getting here. How is the team feeling ahead of the big game?
Yeah, really positive. We knew the quarterfinals and semi-finals there were going to be a really tough task for us, especially playing Loughborough in the semi-finals. So when we sort of got past that hurdle, we were really well prepared for that. So once we got past that hurdle, the excitement sort of started to lift in the camp, and last week's training was the mood in the camp was really positive. And despite the early start this morning, everyone's still really excited and positive to be here.
And obviously you've been here before, you know what this big game is all about and how to win it.
Yeah, of course. This Worcester BUCS champions last year, so coming to this game with a similar mindset of we want to retain. We want to be a team that come to Big BUCS Wednesday finals and retain a title.
And at the other end of the floor, what do you make of this Nottingham team?
Yeah, they've got some experienced players and then a couple more inexperienced players, but the sort of team that if we don't execute the way we want to execute, then it could be a difficult day at the office for us. So we're pretty confident that if we play well, we're in a good position to potentially win this game. But if we don't and we come off half asleep, then it's going to be a difficult day for us.
And what are the most important things you have to do well in order to win the game?
For us, it's something I say a lot of in a lot of the teams I coach is about intensity. If you come in switched off, going through the motions, it's so easy for a game to get difficult. Whereas if we could come in, switch on 100 mile an hour from the start, a lot of teams with the talent we've got in our team struggle to deal with the physicality that we bring. So we can bring that from the tip, then we're in a really good position.
Good luck in the game today. Thank you. Well, I'm delighted to be joined in the commentary booth now by Great Britain international Siobhan Fitzpatrick. Shiv, I know you'd rather be out on the court. It's a bit of a consolation prize being up here with me. It's a special occasion, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the opportunity to showcase wheelchair basketball to an array of people. To be able to showcase wheelchair basketball to an array of people is absolutely fantastic. and to be able to have two top-tier teams here today at Loughborough to take home the title, it's going to be an exciting game.
And obviously with your Loughborough connections, a little disappointed that Loughborough not in the final here, but Worcester, a great performance to beat them in the semi-finals.
Yeah, and I could have predicted a Worcester-Loughborough final, and that was the way that we would have wanted it to go. Unfortunately, the way that the seeds go and the way that this wonderful game of wheelchair basketball does throughout the league, they crossed over for the semi-finals, which was a nail-biting game from what I heard last weekend. Fortunately for Worcester, they came out on top, and it gives Nottingham an opportunity to be able to experience a final for they won it last year, but with a totally different team, people that have never experienced a tournament like this.
Well, that is the thing. They will be underdogs, I would imagine, in most people's minds, Nottingham. But they've got here on merit, and they've got a shot at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think sometimes that's equally as important. It's easy for me to say not playing that Worcester are going to dominate this game and win, but I think Nottingham are going to learn so much from playing on a big stage in front of a crowd with music and fireworks and all the rest that came with today's game. I'm just really excited to see some new people trying our sport for the first time.
Well, it is an exciting day of action here at Loughborough University. We're very early in the morning to start us off with the wheelchair basketball, but it's always high octane. If you've not watched wheelchair basketball before, you're in for a treat. The physicality is always the thing that catches people out who haven't seen it before.
Yeah, wheelchair basketball is the most non-contact sport I think anyone will ever watch. The fast pace, the ferocious one-on-one contact, especially at this age, the young lads and girls are not afraid to showboat and dive onto the floor and do some somersaults in the air. It'll be an amazing spectacle for people to watch.
And a minute to go to tip off now. Put yourself in that huddle. What are you feeling as a player getting ready before a big game like this?
Yeah, I think it's easy for me to say that I would go in and excited, but for some people this is their biggest game they will ever play. They're going to be nervous, and I think the first couple of minutes of any game like this is always a bit sketchy. They always struggle to settle into the game. For me, if I was Joe or Lucas on either team, would just be to tell them to go out there and enjoy it, have fun, and play like they have throughout the whole season.
Two coaches with great experience as well, great knowledge to bring to their teams.
Yeah, Joe Beswick has been playing basketball for, I dread to think how many years, longer than I've been alive, sorry Joe. And Lucas Warburton, and you may recognise the name, he is Greg Warburton's brother, world MVP international basketball player. So Lucas is now transitioned into coaching and is doing a phenomenal job at Worcester. So really good to see him showcasing his skills on a big stage.
Well, the team talks have been had, and the starting fives making their way out onto court. We're almost set to go here on BUCS Big Wednesday, powered by New Balance. And it is the wheelchair basketball final between Nottingham and Worcester for the championship.
Here we go then, folks. It is time for tip-off.
We are set to get things underway. Chapman and Gray will contest the opening tap.
I can't hear you. Oh, okay. No, I mean, I can't hear him. Oh, okay, fine. Perfect. Brilliant. Thank you.
Well, I think the table is set. And we've got a thumbs up. We're good to go. Underway, Nottingham with the first possession of the game. Tate in the corner. Open look. A little short on that first shot. An important transition defense against a team like this. You've got to get back and make sure there's no easy scores.
Absolutely. I'm really impressed with the first two offense and defense positions of the game. The fact that Nottingham managed to get all 5 players back in the key to defend and force an outside shot. A great make there by George Gray. But whether he consistently make those outside shots for the whole game is debatable.
Well, you've got to pick your poison somewhere along the line, and that's probably the one you live with. There's Kemp. Good positioning inside, but the shot just off the mark from Dada. Ooh, that pass had a lot of zip on it, way too much, and went flying out of bounds.
And that's what sometimes can go wrong with teams that potentially know that it's going to be a dominant game for them. They can do the basics wrong and force long passes, which for Nottingham works in their favour.
Kemp getting it inside again. Good positioning in there, and the first points on the board for Chapman.
First points of the game for your end. It's Ben Chapman with the score.
Well, they had 5 players in the paint, but not able to prevent the pass in, and that's part of the problem, the size, with Gray inside. Got the early position wide open underneath.
Yeah, but a good decision to make that foul and send him to the line. The percentage of he will be disappointed that he didn't finish that easy 2 for him, and he's missed the first free throw there. So for Nottingham, they're doing everything to get into Worcester's heads really and send them to the line and play a different position.
Well, he's missed both, and Tate gets the rebound out to Chapman and brought forward by Hazel. And that pass just about reached its intended recipient. Kemp throwing it inside. Crowded out. In the end, Chapman got good position but couldn't finish the first one, and then there were 4 defenders.
Position. And Worcester doing a great job at defending number 8 and number 30 for Nottingham, who are the most experienced players for Nottingham today, both with GB Junior experience. So makes it a little bit harder for the Nottingham players.
Here is Oscar Kemp, freed up by a nice screen. Looking to keep going into the key. Shot is a little short, and Dada can't beat the ball to the end line. It's out of bounds for a Worcester possession. Two points apiece, 2.5 minutes gone here in the opening quarter. Fraser inside, off the glass, can't convert. Kemp going it alone, nice chair work, but just an extra push to get free and call for the travelling violation.
That's really unfair. James Hazel there did a fantastic job at sealing off that Worcester player to give him an entry to the basket, and I think Oscar just got a little bit excited that he, wasn't expecting that opportunity and forgot to dribble the ball. So easily done. I've done it many times.
Well, a lot of time and space there for Horan. Absolutely wide open. Eight shot off the back of the ring. Worcester looking to bring it forward. Skip pass to Fraser. Good ball movement from Worcester. Don't get any points at the end of it though.
Yeah, unfortunately couldn't get a drop, but I'm really impressed by Nottingham. Their ability to keep Worcester to play a half-court game as opposed to their traditional transitional play. It's absolutely fantastic.
Well, it's certainly a good start from their perspective. A little full court pressure here, and that's going to go out of bounds off a Nottingham hand, so Worcester will get the ball back. Those are the sort of unforced errors. Well, I suppose that one's a forced error, but those are the mistakes you can't come up with. And again, it leads to
and it's mistakes like that can lead to another easy score, and Nottingham needs the least easy scores that they can possibly give to Worcester.
And there's another turnover, and suddenly Worcester turning up the heat here. Well, Nottingham able to scramble it away. A chance for a break if they're quick enough. Kemp trying to get to it. It's batted away. Good recovery from Worcester. And you can see Worcester's transition a lot sharper than it was maybe in the first minute or two. Nottingham not quite back, and eventually you get that close, it's hard not to concede at that point.
Yeah, it's a really difficult aspect of the game. Both teams now have got a timeout, and I think Worcester are going to be a little bit disappointed in their start. Yes, they're up by 6 points. However, they've been forced into half-court play. They haven't necessarily had the easy finishes that they were expected to have. I think Nottingham, although the score doesn't necessarily reflect how well they've played, defensively, really impressive showcase. Offensively now, I think Joe will just be saying, take your time, take that extra breath, try and force a foul if you can, and hopefully their shots will start to drop.
Well, it's about sustainability as well from Joe's point of view as a coach. His team played pretty well, probably for about 4 minutes. The last 30 seconds, 40 seconds, you can see why he called a timeout. There's been a few turnovers. There's been some transition where their defense hasn't managed to pack the paint in the way they did in the early stages.
Yeah, and I know that on the stream at home you won't be able to see, but Joe did just demonstrate how to hold the ball above your head and to take that time. You can actually hold the ball for 5 seconds before you have to make a pass. For some of these new players that are playing the game for the first time, when you're in a frantic atmosphere, you might forget those aspects of the game and try and force the ball and force a pass, and that's where the turnovers happen.
Well, Chapman working hard just to get into the backcourt to offer an inbound option. There he is, forward to Dada. But again, you can see Worcester have turned the heat up defensively, able to deal with it. Chapman at the end of it, those are the ones you need to score, really. Worked so hard for it. And Fraser driving through. And again, you look at the comparative difficulty between shot at one end, shot at the other.
Both teams are getting the same shot opportunities. It just happens to be that Worcester are a slightly more experienced team in terms of many GB juniors, many players that have played for many years that know how to finish those shots.
And they're turning up the heat defensively now. Again, defense turning to offense. George Gray with the layup. Eight-second violation. You've got to get the ball across mid-court within 8 seconds of it being inbounded. Didn't quite get to the line that time. Ball will be in the front court, so Worcester will have 14 seconds with which to find an opportunity. Well, they found one pretty quickly, haven't they? Tate gets the rebound, though. That pass broken up. And again, Worcester looking to exploit in transition and doing exactly that. And it's really the defensive pressure that has got them this 12-point lead.
Absolutely. They're not doing anything spectacular or different to Nottingham. It's just Nottingham's ability to be able to break this really difficult press and look after the ball.
Well, they had to resort to the long, risky pass there to avoid another 8-second violation. Nottingham. Chapman will get another go at it. Second attempt is good. Nottingham double their score.
And sometimes when you haven't scored in a while in the wheelchair, in any game of basketball, you can drop confidence and not want to shoot the ball. Hopefully now that's given them a little bit of confidence that there isn't cling film on the net and the ball will go through it.
Offensive foul is the call.
You can always rely on Ian Perskov, that referee there that's made that call, to make it fair to both teams and call both offensively and defensively.
Well, it was on the original pass that the charge was called, so Nottingham get it back. Oh, that's a sloppy pass. Fraser says thank you very much, and it's another 2 for Worcester.
If Nottingham could minimise their turnovers even by 50%, the scoreline would be very different here this morning.
Oh, dangers of another 8 seconds. Get it over just in time. And just enough on that one. He'd only squeezed in from James Hazel.
Honestly, James Hazel's improvement this season in playing in a team where he's had to be a leader, had to be that dominant player, has been absolutely fantastic to watch.
Side to side from Worcester. It's a good shot, but not made. Tate with the rebound. Here he is again down the lane and the finger roll, and that's a bit more like it. If they can break that initial press, there are some layups out there for them.
Yeah, and I'm really impressed there by both Worcester and Nottingham. As seen again, when Worcester are forced into a half-court game as opposed to their turnovers and transitional, their shots are not dropping, so Nottingham need to keep that up. And Worcester now have had to call a timeout because their press isn't working, or they probably have taken a bit of pressure off because they think that they can get the turnovers as opposed to chair positioning. And James Hazel, fair play to him, has taken full advantage of his speed and his ability to finish a left-handed scoop. Now, I don't know from evidence if he is actually left-handed, but if he isn't, that's phenomenal. And even if he is, to finish that under pressure with a big forward trailing you is fantastic.
Well, as you say, the key difference is being able to get the ball forward to there. Where Worcester have dominated the first 8 minutes or so has been the pressure defense, forcing turnovers and getting easy scores. If they can get the ball in the basket at one end, it gives Nottingham an extra second or two to get back on defense and set up, force Worcester into their half court where they've not quite been as effective.
No, and hopefully that's the way Nottingham can continue to build throughout the rest of the game. Sometimes in these games you can rely too much on the scoreline. If they can take possession by possession, try and get a stop, try and get a make, they'll be back into a ball game.
You can see how deep in the key they sit. The idea is just to force them into these mid-range shots, and they're saying, well, if you beat us that way, we'll shake your hand at the end of the game.
Yeah, and like you said earlier in the game, you know, you have to pick your poison, you have to try and create something. You can't stop every single basketball shot.
Oh, Hazel pushing hard to try and catch that, but the pass just a little too far out in front.
But it just proves how quick he is, and the fact that that would have been his potential third layup in a row.
Well, I guess from a Worcester point of view, it's do you keep taking the shots or do you try and work? There was a thought of a pick and roll there, but it's almost like they're playing into the hands in the half court. Hazel moves on. Dada's shot is, I think, blocked. It certainly fell a long way short. 80 seconds to play in the opening quarter. Worcester looking to add to this 10-point lead. Well, Nottingham recover well enough to force a elbow shot, and it's out of bounds for a Nottingham ball.
But again, Nottingham, great defensive idea of just sitting in the key, try and minimise easy layups, easy looks, and force slightly further mid-range shots.
And this was one of the things that Joe was talking about in the pre-game interview, that high press. Could they break it? They have done a couple of times today, but they've also been forced into a few turnovers in this first quarter. Again, that's a win for the defense. And look at Hazel pushing quickly down court. Oh, just a little strong on that one.
He should have taken a left-handed scoop. No, I'm joking. That's a great play by James. And the fact now he's positioned himself at the top of the key defensively so that he can try and break that press to either receive the ball over the half or keep pushing for a layup.
Well, it feels like their only outlet when Worcester score is the slightly risky. Oh, Tate's dropped the ball. Well, the shot clock is off, which means it's always harder to tell when the 8-second violation is because the referee's counting it. But they got it over in time. Last few ticks being counted down by the Nottingham fans. And that will do it for the opening quarter here at Loughborough University, where Nottingham trail Worcester by 8 points to 20. I think both coaches will go into this stoppage here with some positives to reinforce, but also some things to work on.
Yeah, and it's quite nice to see that both teams haven't played to their full potential. I think for Nottingham, Joe will be discussing their too many turnovers and just looking after that ball a little bit more. They know they're going to get pressed. They know they are going to struggle to break that press, but their ability to just hold on to the ball, and even if they get a violation, at least then the ball is taken out of bounds and they won't get a transitional layup. And as for Worcester, the fact that, you know, James Hazel has got 3-4 open opportunities with the calibre of their press, that shouldn't really have happened. And also, how can they get back to their transitional game out of their mid-range shots?
Well, it's almost like if one team does the thing they're doing well, that takes away from the opponent. If Nottingham can get out and score, it gives them a chance to set up, and therefore Worcester aren't in the half court. But if Worcester can force the turnovers, they're in transition and Nottingham can't set up.
Yeah, and I think it's easy for Worcester now to see that they're 12 points ahead, you know, and that they're winning the game so far. But if I was Nottingham, I'd have a little bit of arrogance coming out into the second quarter, knowing that there has been some opportunities that they can capitalise on. It's just getting probably 3-4 scores back to back and 3 or 4 stops, and they're back in the game. You know as well as I do, 12 points sounds like a lot for people watching at home, but in the basketball game, it's not a lot at all.
No, it can be a minute or two, can't it? The pace of the game, and it's important for Nottingham to keep doing it defensively. That packing the key seems to be their best opportunity, their best path to victory, forcing Worcester into those mid-range shots and hoping they don't have a great shooting day. And so far they've been a bit hit and miss from those mid-ranges.
Yeah, unfortunately we haven't got stats up here this morning to be able to look, but I wouldn't, you know, from my eye I would say they're below 50% from mid-range.
Definitely.
And I think Loughborough last weekend would have wished that was the case, because I can tell you it was probably 75%. But sometimes that's just the game of basketball. They're shooting on nets that they're not necessarily used to either. They're also using a different basketball than what they would normally use. They're using Wilsons when they're used to using Moultons. So it is a little bit of a different grip.
Well, that was good ball movement there. It's probably the first time we've seen the ball go side to side and then inside from Worcester.
I think sometimes when you've got a team that is so full of GB people that want to prove, you've got British wheelchair basketball staff watching them play today, they want to showcase it at their best. Sometimes the player that doesn't have 20 points but can pass around and become that team player is just as valuable.
Indeed.
So hopefully they'll be able to showcase a bit more ball movement now.
Well, that is probably the biggest difference, I would say, between the running game and the wheelchair game is sometimes the best player on the court's got no stats. You know, when you look at the end of the game in the box score, there's nothing there but the effort and work rate to free up space for other teammates.
And number 30 for Nottingham, James Hazel. Last year he was in the final for BUCS, and if we could get his stats list up compared to this year, he had hardly anything last year because he had players around him that were the scorers, but his work ethic and his creation was phenomenal. This year he's worked on how he can score more points to add more to his game.
We're trying to get more points there as he span baseline. Foul is called, so 2 free throws.
I've played against him many a time. We do many test matches against the juniors throughout our preparations for this summer in Paris, and all my life trying to defend that boy is so difficult. You think you've got him, he does a little head fake and he's around you. He's so quick. It doesn't help that he's also one of the loveliest guys I've ever met. So you know, if you didn't really like him, it would make it easier. But he's so lovely and just wants to succeed in wheelchair basketball so much.
Oh, excellent form on the free throws as well.
And that's something that Joe Bestwick and his S&C coach have really worked on this year in Nottingham, is his ability to become a scorer. The amount of shooting sessions he has done to be able to hit a free throw consistently, and just evidence there that it's paid off now towards the end of the season.
Oh, not a great pass there. And that was what we've been talking about all game.
Yeah.
George Gray there with the layup.
A fair play to George Gray. He's finishing those inside. He's a big dominant player who's recently gone off and played for the GB Under-23 teams and gaining that experience.
Oh, it's poked away. 2 minutes to go here. 2 minutes played, sorry, here in the second quarter. And Gray in transition for 2 more points stretches Worcester's lead to 16.
And that's the thing now. Worcester have been pressing for 13 minutes of the game pretty much, and it's whether Nottingham have got the stamina to be able to continue playing at that speed and intensity.
Tough shot at the top of the key. And again, quick outlet. Just thought for a second the ball might sneak out of bounds, but chased down well. And 2 more transition points for
That's a fantastic
Worcester.
finish there by Jack Long. His ability to have the composure there to be able to finish.
Well, they've taken the press off now, Worcester.
Yeah, I'm glad they've taken the press off. I think they're not learning anything from it in Nottingham, and it's not an enjoyable experience for them. So,
and actually what it's done is getting into the half court, it's given them more opportunities to break. Long just had a wheel on the line there. So that will, but that's 2, you would say they weren't great outlet passes. He almost turned one into points. He did turn the other into points, but from this half court, they've got the chance to break as well. And you can see the engagement position a little further out from Worcester, pressuring the ball a little higher up, forcing a turnover. And same result, Gray on the end of it for a layup.
yeah, and I think maybe as evident shown now, they're better in half-court defence because they're able to force Nottingham away from their easy shots. They can beat them down the floor because they're quicker.
It's almost like it's opened up a bit more space. It feels counterintuitive because they were turning the ball over in the press, but they've been even more effective in the half court at doing that. Referees just glancing at each other to see which way that foul is going to go. It is against Jack Long of Worcester.
Yeah, in the wheelchair game, for anyone that doesn't know about fouls, I'll keep it quite straightforward, but Jack turned his chair into the player as opposed to keeping side by side in a straight line, so it will be his foul. And for that girl that's fallen out, it could potentially be the first time she's ever fallen out of a chair, so it can be a scary experience. And she definitely took some force, so they're just making sure that she's okay, and it looks like she is.
Yeah, Anna Tomlinson going to carry on. And it'll be a Nottingham ball from the side, a new 14 on the shot clock. That's a tough pass inside. It's well caught by Chapman.
That was a fantastic pass inside. I was really wishing that would drop in because that was a fantastic play there by Nottingham. Nottingham have managed to get back into defence. However, Jack Long there with a fantastic finish inside.
Well, they
That's
definitely.
when the experience of both teams can now come into light. Worcester are able to finish in weird positions just because they've been playing the game for so much longer than some of the players for Nottingham today.
That is one of the, as you say, one of the things that comes with the years of playing the game is being able to score in less orthodox ways, if you like. There are shots like that most people can knock down, but as you're weaving through the key, leaning out of your chair, the old left-handed scoop you were talking about earlier, it's...
I've been playing for 15 years and I still think I'll avoid a left-handed scoop, to be fair. So fair play to James. I must have to confirm maybe at half-time if he is actually left-handed, because that's a phenomenal finish there to do 2 consistently. But he is dribbling the ball with his left hand, so I want to say that he is left-handed.
Chapman freeing up some space for the shot from Oscar Kemp. It falls short.
It's hard for Nottingham now to finish those mid-range shots because they've been pressed for a lot of this game. They've had to play at a fast pace intensity. Their arms are going to be fatigued.
Tough finish from Jack Long there on one wheel. Good body control to drop that in.
And this is where, with the scoreline like it is now, 26 points up, there is going to be some showboating. So for you guys at home, it's going to be a great spectacle for you to watch. for me as a player and as the coach, if they miss those shots, you can get slightly annoyed to not finish the basic. For them, they're going to want to enjoy today and get as much out of it as they possibly can.
And Nottingham now stuck on 10 points, struggling to get that scoreboard ticking, and it really is in the half court that they've almost turned the ball over more regularly than they did against the press, and they're not getting the outlet that they were able to get of James Hazel over the top and fast breaks.
Yeah, and I think that's what Joel West will be discussing now, and you can see him speaking to some of the inexperienced players there in the timeout, to just trying to help their positioning on the court. A lot of them are sitting still far away from the key. What can they do to help James and Oscar get into the positions to allow their shots to drop? And Worcester, I kind of wish they hadn't pressed, because imagine what the scoreline would have been if they hadn't pressed. I think Lucas has done a great job to turn that off and find out something, whether they have done throughout the whole season, I'm not sure, that is working very successfully. It's just whether Nottingham can do a job of trying to get back into defence and force some of their mid-range shots again.
No, it's one of those interesting things, because the press was on the face of it working, but the half-court defence has worked even better. You can see there's almost no way into the key for Nottingham at all. And, well, you said earlier, I guess that's the better way to turn the ball over, because at least it goes out of bounds and gives you a chance to get back.
Yeah, and now all 5 players for Nottingham are back in the key to force Worcester into a half-court game, which, yes, they have made a couple. But like you said as well, trying to lower their percentage of makes is what we need.
Well, that's the problem, though.
And now every single person on their team is now finishing. It makes it even harder for Nottingham to choose who they want to force the person to take the shot.
I don't know, in an awkward spot, they're able to get it out. Shot clock down to 6 here. They need to get something away. Foul called on the shot, so there'll be 2 free throws.
And that's a slightly silly foul there from Abs. I know he was just trying to reach for the shot, and it's easily done. You can forget that your chair can still move, and a chair contact does count as a foul in the act of shooting. This gives a great opportunity for Nottingham to reset, have a quick chat to the coach on the sideline, make some substitutions, and hopefully Oscar will knock both these free throws down to get over that 10-point psychological battle that's been going on for this quarter.
That's the thing, when you've got a team stuck there and they can't score in the quarter.
And as a player, I have been on both teams right now that are struggling to score and finding it easy to score, and both you think is easy, but they're both going to be difficult to bring different challenges. And thankfully, Oscar made 1, so we're now on 11.
But really, defensively, off a made free throw, you'd want to be set up a little better than that.
For me, I wouldn't even have any Nottingham players in the key to get the rebound. The likelihood of getting the rebound over some of these big Worcester players is very unlikely. Get back to defence, get set up. And if you have to play 4-on-5, it's better than playing 3-on-2, 2-on-1, whatever the numbers may be.
Oh, it's poked away again. One will go all the way out of bounds. It is still a Nottingham ball, but they've got a long way to go in 4 seconds on the shot clock. It's going to have to be either a long pass or a long heave, and Worcester are going to pressure down court to make it more difficult here. And Chapman has it. I think they're going to take the 24-second violation.
I think if they'd have had maybe 6 or 7 seconds, James Hazel there would have got free and maybe got a shot off. But this game, unfortunately, I have a lot of could have wished, would have wished that happened, and unfortunately that's not the way it goes.
Well, shot clock violation was on the near side of the court, so the referee comes to this side to inbound it. Well, Fraser just rolling to the basket. That's too easy. She's going to make that all day. Lead ticks past 30 now, as Worcester turning up the heat in the second quarter. Again, it's good pressure. You can see how much further out they're having to shoot from them. Kemp is 17 feet from the basket probably when that one goes up.
That's a call that you don't often see be called at all, but like I said earlier, Ian Purslove has been refereeing this game for years. He always makes calls that players might not necessarily know are a thing, and Ellen Fraser there did 3 touches of a wheel instead of 2, which means that it is a travel, even out of bounds.
Into the final 2 minutes of the first half. Again, long range effort from Kemp. This time draws iron, but still allows Worcester to get out on the fast break. Offensive foul, the call though, and really they'll be furious at that. 3-on-2, they should have took advantage.
Yeah, and Jack did do a bounce stop and stop his chair. James Hazel's chair position was absolutely fantastic. He was stationary and sideways, so it makes contact. It's question. It could have gone either way, but I think when the score line is like this, the referees are more inclined to call it as offensive.
Scoreboard call? He's calling that a scoreboard call. As you say, you give the referee an opportunity to make a call in a position like that. That's tipped away. I'm not sure whether it was a Nottingham hand or not. It obviously wasn't because it's not a backcourt violation, but they've not got a lot of time to work with here. That one doesn't hit the iron, so, well, Worcester got the ball back. It would have been a shot clock violation. I think Nottingham would have preferred that because Long gets the easiest of layups.
Yeah, and that's where Nottingham's experience will become evident, you know, in moments like that. If you know you're not going to make the shot, a bit like when I said to try and force it out of bounds, it allows Nottingham to get back to defence. But it's just having that knowledge of the game. And unfortunately, those players have only been playing for, some of them have only been playing for a matter of weeks. So for me to expect them to know those sort of things is a bit harsh.
Well, you're nothing if you're not harsh.
Thanks. When I've got this headset on, I can't be, can I?
No.
But no, I just think it's really exciting that wheelchair basketball was even showcased in BUCS. For some of these players, they might not even have a disability. I think that's really important to say. They just want to play this sport and they love it. So for me, yes, you want to see a good game of basketball and you want it to be a close game. But for Nottingham today, it's just about being able to play this sport on a big stage. And for some of them, it's never going to happen again.
Well, they've acquitted themselves all right here in the first half. Yes, they are down by a big score, but there have been moments where they've been playing pretty well. Can they get one last score in this quarter? Get a field goal on the board here in this second quarter.
I really do think Nottingham are probably 25 points to 44 as opposed to 11 to 44. They've had some easy opportunities inside the key that just haven't dropped in their favour. And
there we go, Tate.
We'll just get him sitting there for the next 30 minutes and 20 minutes and get him shooting them. What a fantastic way to go into the half.
Well, that certainly got the Nottingham crowd excited with a little mid-range shot, but it is Worcester well on top here in Loughborough University. It is 13 points to 44, and well, the class of Worcester that we saw on paper before they turned up, we've seen on the court today.
Yeah, but I'm actually quite surprised. Coming into this game, I thought I would struggle to not say positive things about Nottingham, that sounds wrong, but I'm genuinely really impressed with some of the things that Nottingham have put on the floor this morning. They've tried to stick to their plan. They've forced Worcester into some outside shots. I just think their experience today, or lack of experience compared to Worcester, has showed. But hopefully now going to the second half, if they can work out ways of getting their transitional looks back into play and forcing Worcester back into a half court, hopefully the scoreline will become closer.
I guess the one thing they'll be looking to improve on in the second half as well is also their half-court execution. There hasn't been too many times where they've got paint touches, for example, because Worcester won't allow them get into the key. And then when they have, they've missed one or two as well.
Yeah, and unfortunately when Nottingham have only got really 2 players, one that I recognise, and I know I'm not a junior anymore, so some of their faces they may have played a bit longer, but if they've only been playing for 6 months, to understand how to do a pick and roll in wheelchair basketball is so difficult. And you know from the running game that you can just get in the way and block a player. In wheelchair game, you have to be able to learn how to move the chair. You can't make contact in certain spaces on the chair. Worcester have been playing for 5 to 10 to 15 years, some of these players. They've been playing since they could literally be old enough to sit in a wheelchair. So they know how to pick them all. They know how to get their players from a mid-range inside the key. And unfortunately, Nottingham haven't got that knowledge yet. Hopefully Joe might be able to show them a couple of tricks to be able to get their shots a little bit closer. But I think we might be asking for a little bit too much when they've been playing for a matter of weeks.
Well, we're at the half here at Loughborough University. It is Nottingham 13, Worcester 44. We're going to take a little break and we'll be back with the second half in a short while.
What makes Aldi different is how much responsibility they give to each and every one of us in the business, and with that comes a lot of trust.
3 months into your training, you could be running the store on your own, responsible for ordering all the stock, making sure the staff are happy.
Aldi really believes that young people can do great things.
It's definitely something that excited me and attracted me to the role.
I felt really supported at Aldi. From day one, you're paired up with your mentor, who is with you throughout your whole journey.
You develop a really strong network with your peers, you can always pick up the phone to them.
But you all work part of the team towards the common goal.
I really valued my time in school because I think it's a really important part of you learning the practical day-to-day of the store operations.
It was actually really exciting and I really enjoyed it.
It's a change every single day, and that variety really attracted me to the role.
You really do your research into the private equity sector.
Don't be put off by this kind of mysticism that potentially lies around it.
Do your research not only to help with your application and interview process, but also to see if you personally would like to work at that place or that sector or that field.
Singleton sniping.
Oh, Tilly Smale is on the scoreboard, and Loughborough University surely at this stage now.
Loughborough University are the Women's National League champions.
Destiny Day ends with Exeter as BUCS Super Rugby national champions.
The benefit of having a mentor, especially so early on in our careers, is that you have an outside perspective and like a go-to person that you can go and ask any questions regarding your situation or your career path.
Having a mentor at ICG has really helped me by giving me a perspective of the company as well as my own personal improvement from an outsider's perspective. So I'm able to see and get different feedback of my own progress from someone outside of my team.
Well, we're set to get it back underway here in Loughborough. It's the final of the wheelchair basketball, and it's Nottingham who trail 13 points to 44, who have the opening possession of the second half. And it's stolen away.
And it's little errors like that they've done all game.
Oh! Well, you're not.
And in this case, they didn't make the
Great,
layup, but
yeah.
for the first half, they were converting those.
Well, Coach Warburton had a long chat with Grant halftime. I don't think it was missed layups in the fast break that he was saying to him, but that's a good start for Nottingham.
And I think Worcester are now not pressing, so their arms have had a little bit of rest in those 10 minutes, and hopefully some of Nottingham's mid-range shots will start to drop.
Tate trying to grab the rebound, but Fraser is there to fight it away. It's a held ball. Possession arrow means it stays with Worcester.
But again, Nottingham being able to stay in the half court defensively, which is good.
Well, going side to side. Fraser's shot is short, and that's kind of what Nottingham are hoping for. But not that. Tate turning the ball over and Long with the easy two.
Yeah, and that's really unfortunate. Nottingham have done a great job there for the two previous possessions to force them into a half-court shot that neither of them have knocked down. However, turnovers seems to be the key word of today.
It does. And points from turnovers as well. Here's Chapman. Little screen and roll action working very nicely, and Nottingham gets some points out of it with Hazel laying in.
That's a fantastic move that anyone would struggle to do. So the fact that James is able to do that move when the scoreline isn't going in his favour, he still wants to keep playing, keep chipping away at that scoreboard. But unfortunately, they're not able to prevent Worcester from getting them easy 2 points inside the key.
Well, that is one of the things about the sort of mentality of the game, isn't it? At halftime, you've worked really hard. You look up, you're down 30. It's that sort of, all right, we have to go again and start as if it's 0-0.
And it's really easy for, you know, us two in the commentary to be able to say that, the coaches to be able to say it's 0-0. Trust me, I've been that player recently and throughout my career that's looked up and think, how are we going to rectify this? How are we going to benefit? And I think as a coach and players, you've got to think, well, what can I now gain from this? Forget the scoreline. Game now is not going to be won by Nottingham unless a small miracle happens. So what can you gain and enjoy from this experience?
And it's how can you improve along the way as well, so that you take something out of it as well. As you say, there's a range of experience of players on court, from those coming through the GB program to those at the other end of their career, the starting point of their career, if you like. And it's how do we get better for next game?
Yeah, I think it's really important that Worcester are one of the hubs for the Women's Premier League, so their depth of players is going to be stronger, same as Loughborough, same as London, same as Cardiff. Cardiff have been in the final the last 2 years and got knocked out in their semi-final. Loughborough got knocked out in their semi-final. So the fact that Nottingham are in the final today is absolutely fantastic, because on paper at the start of the season, the fact they got through the group stages is an amazing achievement.
Nice pass out of down the lane, up and in for two.
It's really unfortunate that they weren't getting these 6 points they've just scored in the first half, because their last few offences have been absolutely fantastic from Nottingham.
And a mistake there from Worcester turning the ball over. Yeah, they had a few shots that are like back in the first half, you would say. One or two where they weren't going to make up 30 points, but they could have made up some of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just great to see that they are now getting those opportunities, and unfortunately there they weren't able to convert.
Well, that's one of those, as I say, that Chapman probably would have wanted back. An opportunity to get two more for his team missed out. Well, too short, and then too long from Longworth. Nice pass. Doesn't quite get the assist it deserved.
That's really unfortunate. That went in the basket more than it came out, but that's a fantastic pass there from James Hazel.
There's another opportunity from Longworth. That comes off. No chance.
But Nottingham are doing everything that they have wanted to do through the whole game in the last 5 minutes. Well, just under 5 minutes. Forcing Worcester to miss some shots that they've been making in the first half. But then it's moments like that where they don't necessarily look after the ball for the whole possession and force another layup.
And you see there, even if he'd missed that layup, it was long behind him, he would have got an offensive rebound and a putback. I think 1 or 2 tired arms in the Nottingham team. Looking.
I feel tired for them. Fair play to all of them that have been able to compete with Worcester today. Again, the scoreline hasn't necessarily reflected their performance, but they are continually pushing. They've got so much fight, really good team spirit. No one's shouting at each other, no one's blaming each other. They all just want to play this wonderful game of wheelchair basketball. So for me, that's just fantastic to see.
Well, Joe Bestwick with a timeout here midway through the quarter. I think in part it's strategic, as it's the best point in time to call a timeout halfway through, get the team a 1 minute little breather.
And there's been a couple of possessions back to back that haven't really gone in Nottingham's favour compared to probably the first 3 minutes of the third quarter. But I just love watching Nottingham be all cohesive. Joe's been really, passionate to want them to play. For Worcester, it's a totally different perspective. They want to perform. They want to be competitive, and I think sometimes when you've got participation players playing against competitive players, it's easy for Nottingham to stop playing, and that hasn't happened this morning.
And for Worcester, as you say, it's about executing correctly, and they've got to forget about the scoreboard as well. They've got to think, well, actually, it doesn't matter how many we're winning by. It's about how we perform and how we play.
Yeah, and if you were to, they have missed some easy layups that they should be scoring. If the game was closer, if they were playing a team that was similar scoreboard, those points would matter. And as they develop throughout their careers for GB international teams, it's those shots that are the difference between winning and losing.
Well, that is the thing, as you say, there are several players with aspirations of doing exactly that, and obviously we're in a Paralympic year this year.
Don't remind me.
Something on your mind, no doubt.
Yeah, it's an exciting few months ahead for the GB teams, with lots of tournaments, lots of preparation. Kind of forgot about it for a couple of years, and now all of a sudden the 3-year cycle is up, and we've got Paris in 6 months, well, less than 6 months.
Yeah, it's not far away now. March is drifting away, and the Paralympics will be around before you know it. And you fit and healthy these days?
I am now. I've had a few months of niggles and issues as most athletes have to go through, and it's been difficult. But now I can pleased to say I play my first game for Loughborough this weekend for the whole season, so that's exciting. And hopefully, I'm touching lots of wood for those that can't see. The summer will go to plan, and I've timed it perfectly as an athlete to come back for selection and hopefully get my spot for Paris. So the team have qualified. We qualified at the European Championships in August. It's just the players themselves that now have to get selected. Which
and I guess
May.
this for players, it's probably the most nerve-wracking time, isn't it? You sort of think, well, there's only a set number of spots there, and there's a lot of good players up and down the country, and we see them performing in at BUCS level. You talked about the Women's Premier League as well.
Yeah, and for the first time ever, I'm pleased to say, but also annoyingly to say, the depth is so strong. Before, it would probably be 13, 14 girls, and the 12 are pretty much guaranteed. Now, you can't predict it, and it's made training so much more competitive. And it's the likes of having BUCS, the likes of having the Women's Premier League that's been able to showcase this sport to more female talent in the UK. And get people playing the game to a competitive level.
Oh, Worcester foul is called, 3-second violation, is called on the roll to the basket there, so that'll go back to Nottingham. 3 minutes to go here in the third quarter. It's Worcester on their way to lifting the trophy here. Hold ball the call. Possession arrow will stay with Nottingham. Heather's going to take the mid-range shot. In and out.
She's had a couple of shots like that in the game that just haven't gone in her favour. And I think that's the story of Nottingham's day-to-day, is that they've had some fantastic opportunities, but they just haven't been able to convert.
Nice little shovel pass there.
I think when momentum is going against you, you put more and more pressure on yourself to be able to finish those shots. They don't necessarily drop. Worcester have very little pressure on them. So they're able to, relax and finish those shots.
Well, the other thing is the way they have the scorers like this man here. Great defensive attention often drifts towards him. It does free up space. It's got gravity, I would say, and that things suck towards him, frees up space for his teammates. And the size to just keep going on the offensive glass as well.
Yeah, and that's really hard for Nottingham. They've got 4 players around them, but when you've got someone as tall as George Gray in the key, your arms up are not going to do anything to stop him. And thankfully he's able to miss a couple because he can get his own rebound to get that shot knocked down.
Pad the stats, make sure you get a few extra rebounds.
He's got to get a triple-double or something, hasn't he? So he'll need to get as many rebounds as he can.
That's going to hit the stanchion there. Oh, I thought that hit the metal. Maybe it hit the side of the board. But either way, Worcester allowed play. Well, I think Fraser was expecting that to be passed back.
She did really well there to get that passed out.
There's Gray again on the offensive glass with some second chance points. Long out to Hazel. Suddenly 2 hands in her face there. Dado able to get it away, but it's deflected out of bounds.
So for you,
Isla Park into the game for the first time, I believe. Three ball not too far away there from Kemp. Well, looking for other options, couldn't find any, took the shot himself there. Gray. Chapman able to pull in the rebound. The shot clock is off, so Nottingham, well, I was about to say can take the last one of the quarter, but they turn it over. Gray has to let it fly. Not sure there's time for the pass. And there wasn't. That'll do it for the end of the third quarter. And Worcester's lead has extended in that period out to 40.
Yeah, they've scored less points there in the third quarter, Nottingham, but they're arguably the way they played is better.
I thought the first 3 or 4 minutes of that quarter, Nottingham came out really
strong,
really well played, moved the ball well. Defensively, they've struggled a little bit on the glass in particular, and with the ball movement of Worcester.
Yeah, and I really think if Nottingham could have minimised some of their turnovers throughout the game. I know it's easy for me to say standing up here, playing the game for many years, to know how to do things. But I think that's the difference today. I don't think they would have won without the turnovers, but the scoreline would have been massively reduced because it's forced Worcester into the half court where they've struggled a little bit more today.
Well, 10 minutes to play here at Loughborough University. 10 minutes separating Worcester from the trophy, and they just will want to make sure they finish off right. They've got a big lead, obviously. They're not going to get
absolutely
caught,
if I was Joe and I was coaching, my aim would be to get to 30 points and probably keep Worcester below 80. I think that's probably a realistic aim for Nottingham, and it's those small goals that they just have to work towards. Forget the scoreline, forget the spectacle, and just enjoy playing wheelchair basketball. I don't know whether it's been mentioned throughout the commentary, but George Gray and Joe Bestwick are actually teammates. So the coach of Nottingham and George Gray playing for Worcester both play for the same Premier League team, Nottingham Jaguars. So Joe knows what he's like on the court, but unfortunately he can't be the one to go on and play and defend him. There's no one in Nottingham that's got his height.
Joe sneak on a little vest there and wheel himself on. You think anybody would notice?
I mean, he hasn't played international basketball now probably for 2 seasons. However, you probably wouldn't necessarily know. His ability to still play this game is pretty impressive.
I think Lucas Warburton would notice and say something to the officials.
We'll put blindfold on him, it'll be fine.
There's an ineligible player, Raf.
You can actually play as a coach if you are studying. So if Joe was doing a degree of some kind, so Simon Fisher, who was the previous coach for Worcester, was doing his masters at Worcester, he was able to play for their BUCS team. However, Joe is working at Nottingham and not studying.
Yeah. Nottingham coming forward in the shape of Oscar Kemp. Good defense from Fraser to force the ball away. Pass just about reaches Kemp, who's trying to squeeze it in. Wasn't much room
That's
there.
a really fantastic pass there from James Hazel, and Oscar was just in a bit of a weird angle to finish that basket then. But it just shows that they have had some fantastic opportunities today. They've just not been able to convert.
Gray with the skip pass out to the wing, but nothing doing that time for Emma Wickman. Nice shot. Set himself there nicely.
Yeah, I've known Oscar for a few years now in the junior team. He is a much better shooter when he keeps rolling. So for me, now he's hit that one, can he be able to put a few of them back to back?
Just talk us through the sort of degree of difficulty. To the untrained eye, it feels like rolling and shooting would be a much more of a challenge than stationary.
No, so if you think in the running game you're able to use your legs as momentum, the roll of the wheelchair does similar in terms of momentum and gives you that extra bit of power towards the basket. If you are stationary, you have only got either the use of your core if you have it. Some of the players that play this game are paralyzed and have no core use, so you only have your arms, you can't use your legs. So to be able to roll in your wheelchair to take that shot, it just gives you a little bit of extra momentum. It's the easiest way to explain it for those guys that may not know anything about wheelchair basketball. For me, rolling, sometimes you can roll too much for the infancy player, so that's why it's a hard skill to learn. But yeah, the more you can move your chair and not be stationary. For me, as a player, now I'm giving away my secrets, don't stop my chair so I can shoot the ball, please. Thank you very much.
Oh, there's some fascinating inside. Because it is one of those things, as you say, in the running game, more often than not, it's the catch and shoots when you're not moving that are the higher percentage rather than, say, off the dribble and pulling up.
Same in the wheelchair game. If you have to force a player to make a dribble move, 9 times out of 10 the percentage does drop.
There we go, right on cue. There's another one at the top of the key for Oscar Kemp.
Yeah, he hasn't really taken many shots in the first half, and I wonder now if it's just he's settled into the game and kind of thinks, what have I got to lose at this stage? Let's just take some shots. And luckily they're going in his favour. It's almost like, why didn't you take them in the first half to support James? But again, I say I've known him for a few years. He's still only probably 18, 19 years of age. He's still in the infancy of his career, and someone that I think will go on to achieve lots in this sport.
Well, a little psychological win there for Nottingham, forcing the time out from Worcester, making a couple of shots early on and getting them to think about what they're doing and reassess presumably the defence, because they've given up a couple of shots.
Absolutely. And Worcester have only scored 4 points to Nottingham's 6, which doesn't sound like much, but for Nottingham that's a huge win. Previously, Worcester had scored 14 points to Nottingham's 2.
Yeah.
So to be able to keep level with their scoring, it's a shame there isn't an extra quarter, because they're already creeping the scoreboard up.
Well, there's a hardy little bunch of Nottingham fans behind their bench who were rallied there post that timeout. The old flag
I think
was
that's the
waving.
great thing about Big BUCS Wednesday, for all the sports being showcased today at Loughborough University, is that you do get a huge following from your university. They might not have seen wheelchair basketball before, you might not have seen any sports before, but they are just passionate to represent their university and have a huge crowd here today.
And grateful, I think, that we're on an indoor sport, because it's pretty miserable outside.
And yesterday was so nice as well, but yes, I'm glad I'm not playing rugby or anything like that today outside.
I did see, as I was walking in, I did see a rugby player walking back through. I thought, oh, rather him than me. But, the worse for the weather, that's
They're
for
probably
sure.
used to it as UK English players, you know, in the realms of outdoor sport. But I did get to watch yesterday American football for the first time.
Okay.
That was an interesting sport to watch. Very loud.
Yeah.
But yeah, out on the rugby pitches here at Loughborough University.
Well, as a child, I used to go and watch American football at Saffron Lane. The Leicester Panthers, they were called. It's, as you say, quite a physical game, and it's. Well, are they playing it again today? I might wander out and have a look.
I don't know, but it was definitely on yesterday, and the size of some of their players.
Yeah,
I'm like, how are you even that big at such a young age? Very intimidating. I wonder if we could do a talent transfer to wheelchair basketball, because if some of those players were in a wheelchair, even if they just sat in the key and couldn't push the chair, it would be very scary and dominant for some of these players today.
Well, that is the challenge. You were talking about sometimes you get players at this level who don't have a disability, so therefore they're not used to the chair. I think the biggest challenge is being able to control the chair.
100%, and I was one of those players. Yes, I am born with a disability. However, I don't use a day chair. So when I first got into a wheelchair to play wheelchair basketball, I really struggled, and I had a disability, let alone people that are not around it, have no kind of exposed disability. It always amazes me, and I always like to have those conversations with those people that have chosen wheelchair basketball. What is it about the sport that you love? And most times it's the fact that it's something different. They might not be the most sporty people, but they just want to do some sort of sport at university. And yeah, the fact that you can make contact and make noise and play sport with your friends is a great achievement. But it always just surprises me when they have no connection to disability that they've chosen our sport. It makes me very excited that we're growing our audience. So that at the Paralympics we can hopefully get some more viewers to our game.
Well, fun fact. The
Here we
one
go. You always have a fun
one
fact.
time I played wheelchair basketball was on this court.
How did you get on?
I was really good with
just
no
saying that 'cause I didn't
defenders.
see
No,
you.
with no defenders in front of me, stationary shooting, but trying
That's
to
your
move,
basketball,
trying
did
to
you?
move the chair and get from one end of the court
You're
to
a
the other.
tall player. I imagine the chair would have been,
Challenge. It was a challenge. That's fair to say. Fortunately, none of the other people who were playing
Were good either.
had either played basketball or wheelchair basketball. So my minor ability looked good on that in that context. That might. I thought that might drop in for Chapman there, but he will go to the line for 2 free throws.
Yeah, and for me, in a competitive game, that's a good foul to give, tilting, trying to check the ball. However, when the scoreline is like this, for me, just give the shot. Give them the 2 points, or give them an opportunity to have the 2 points. I'm sure Lucas won't agree with me on that comment, however.
No. Well, that's the thing. From a coach's point of view, virtually all the coaches I've ever met over the years are naturally pessimistic and can always see the route back into the game for the other team. There's another foul. Well, he won't be happy about that. But also that thing of it's a branch of teaching, isn't it, really, coaching? So it's always that thing of how do we improve for the next play, the next game, the next...
That's why I'm a player and not a coach, Dan, to be fair. I think it's probably one of the hardest jobs, and we give our coaches a hard time at any level of making decisions. Why haven't I played? Why are you playing? What have you made that decision for? But like me watching this game today, you're seeing it totally different perspective than when you're on the court. So yeah, it's a difficult job being a coach, and I think the hardest job is a referee's job. How some of these referees can referee and deal with what they have to deal with is difficult. But hopefully he'll be able to knock down these free throws now.
Well, the other challenge for a wheelchair basketball coach that the running game doesn't have is the lineups issues and the fact that you can only play certain players. There's a points limit. Everybody's been given a classification.
And that doesn't apply at BUCS. Part of me always questions why. Part of me, I understand why, because it gets more people playing. The likes of Nottingham, who haven't got as many disabled people, or Worcester. So the only rule in BUCS is that you have to have one disabled person on the court at any time and one female on the court at any one time. There is no classification system. However, in the National League, for those players that want to transition and watch our National League, it varies through the divisions. The lower the divisions, the more points allowance you get. But international, 14 points. With 5 players isn't a lot. And it also comes down to it when players get into foul trouble.
Yeah.
You normally take 2 players of each classification. Obviously, sometimes there's exceptions to the rules. However, if that particular lineup, and you've got 2 people that want 4 fouls, you have to change the lineup completely to be able to mathematically make it work, which you might go from a pressing lineup to a half court, and it can change the game completely. So, yeah, it's a difficult aspect of our game, which makes it fun and exciting, both for selection for athletes and for coaches to decide what combinations they want to go to a tournament with.
Nice pass inside. Nottingham able to secure possession on the defensive rebound. Can they get out in the open court? Speed of Hazel, but tracked down and forced to cycle back.
He just doesn't look tired.
No.
At all.
Well, foul starting to mount up here for...
And that's the thing. I'm not saying a scoreboard call at all. I'm not being tired. But if they hear contact being made and they're going to give it to Nottingham, it's going to go in Nottingham's favour purely because of the scoreline. When it's a bit more competitive game, they sometimes can let certain things go. And Worcester's chair skills should also be slightly better than Nottingham. So the referees are fully aware of the players. They've refereed them in National League for years. So they will know what they can allow to give to certain players that won't know the rules, to those that are playing for GB that know how to position their chairs.
Late shot clock had to go up there from Gray off the back of the iron. Gray with the defensive rebound off the miss from Hazel. Nottingham trying to get back to prevent more points in transition. Nice pass. And they get the points as well.
Yeah, and that's a fantastic finish, and I'm really glad that Worcester have made some rotations, played some of their new and inexperienced players in the second half of this game. Because even though they'll win, for them to have that opportunity is fantastic.
Well, George Gray heads out of the game, and some performance by him. Got to be in the running, you would imagine, for most valuable player today.
Yeah, who makes that decision? Are we making that decision, or is someone downstairs making that decision?
Well, we've not been asked to, so
because
I'm assuming it's somebody
if it
downstairs.
Was me, I would give it to James Hazel. But I know traditionally the MVP has to go to the winning team, which makes perfect sense. And yes, George Gray has put the most points on the board and does deserve it. However, James Hazel's work ethic and his ability to finish and beat people one-on-one today has been fantastic. So my bias would give it to him. However, I also appreciate that Worcester have put on a fantastic performance today.
I've done a lot of finals. I don't know how many in my career. I've only twice seen it where a
well, let's make it the third today.
Could be a third. They were both 3-point games, though. That's the difference.
Yeah, it's difficult, and I think as much as we've supported Nottingham today on the commentary, I think it's great to say at this point of the game that Worcester have put on a great performance, and they, apart from the press in the first half, they have resorted back to a half court. They haven't showboated too much. They haven't showed off. They've really respected their opponents, Nottingham, today. And they can't do anything about the fact that they are more experienced and more competitive, the fact that they know how to play basketball. They've been playing for years. It's sometimes hard to play against a team that haven't got that advantage.
When you come with the expectation, and people, would look at the lineup here and say, well, they should win comfortably, Worcester. You still got to go out and execute. You still got to go out and do that. Yeah, and it's easy to sort of fall into that mindset yourself and then just be a fraction off it.
Yeah, and
they haven't been that.
No,
today.
And that's been really good to see, and I think that's a credit to Worcester and what they've done throughout this whole season and last season. They've had the same cohort of players with a few additions of, the likes of Imogen, number 5 for Worcester, is on the court. She's just broken into the WPL at Worcester, is now on the GB pathway. Don't know her too well. I've seen her face a few times, but just seeing more people have the opportunity to be able to showcase their talents is fantastic.
Well, we're approaching the final minute here on BUCS Big's Wednesday in the wheelchair basketball final. Is that a 5th foul? I think it might be.
Absolutely love the fact that he's got fouled out in a BUCS game. Is it 5? I don't know.
It's definitely 2 free throws for the...
we don't know how many... are they doing... Oh, let's see. They're putting a board up in the air now in a second.
Oh, first foul. I've got totally confused there.
Yeah, I don't know. Just because the way he celebrated, looked at the bench, they had conversations.
Yeah.
It looked like he was on 5 fouls.
There was definitely somebody had put up a 4-foul marker earlier.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this morning we do not have stats, and we are sat a little bit of distance away from the court, so... we do apologise for that.
Markers on the scoreboard, where we could normally go, but it is a 5-team foul, so that's why there's 2 free throws here. What did you set the target before? Over 30 and under 80, so they've done that.
Yeah, I'm really impressed there by James Hazel knocking those free throws down.
Well, a couple plays left here in this final. University of Worcester going to get their hands on the trophy at the end. But Nottingham have played their part in this contest. And Worcester still playing hard to the end. It's going to be another violation, is it? Well, I think that was. The referee's thumbs up, but I'm not sure that was within the time. But we'll give them the 2 points anyway.
Sometimes referees do things that I don't really understand, and I just kind of nod my head and go, okay, you give me the 2 points, I'm not going to question it.
Yeah. It may well have bounced in the front court just before the 16, but it was very close. That will go out of bounds, and that will stay possession with Worcester. I thought for a second there was going to be a timeout there. I was about to say not much need for that with 24 seconds to go, but it is a substitution, and Lewis Evans going to get the last 24 seconds here. Well, the shot clock is off, so they're going to let them run this one right down. Or is there time in the last couple of seconds for Nottingham to... Well, they'll get some points from the free throw line because that's a foul.
This could be Cree's first time to the line, I think, today.
Yeah.
Probably be her first time to the line ever. Who knows?
Well,
what a fantastic experience for her this morning.
Fans were certainly excited for her to get a chance to get on the scoreboard.
Now she's sat a little bit away from the line. Now I wonder if she's going to take a roll.
Yeah, I think she is.
Okay, yeah, but she is. As long as your back wheels do not violate the bold line of the key, then it does count. And I wonder if they'll give them a little bit of leeway anyway, knowing that she isn't a experienced player.
Well, she wasn't too far away. Would have got the offensive rebound. Fortunately, it didn't hit the ring, and you have to hit the ring on a free throw. So,
but
no
fair
points
play
for
to her.
Harriet
Good
Creed.
spirit. She's
Yeah.
absolutely pushed and pushed this morning. And like you said, the crowd. She's definitely got some fans in the crowd today.
Well, we'll cross midcourt, and they will dribble this one out. A dominant display from them. They are the BUCS champions. They've won by 40 here, 34 points to 74. And they started okay, but as the first half drew on, they really upped it from maybe the midpoint of the first quarter all the way through the second quarter, where they kept Nottingham to only 3 points. That was the decisive spell.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm actually quite surprised at how I thought Worcester would have scored more points and Nottingham wouldn't have scored as many. So a great effort from Nottingham in the second half. I think their turnovers have cost them today. But I just really hope that every single one of them, including Worcester, have enjoyed this morning, have enjoyed this big spectacle, have enjoyed the fireworks coming onto the court. Yeah, I would have loved to have this experience on a big stage like today.
Well, celebrations for Worcester, and of course they will get their medals and trophy presentation very shortly, but a credit as well to the University of Nottingham, who gave everything they had out there, and as I say, for spells in the game they looked pretty good. There were just some gaps where the turnovers really was the main killer for them.
Main killer and experience. You can't, hats off to Worcester. They've got 1-2 players that have been playing for not many years at all. Their main 5 that have played today are all on the GB pathway. One of which, both girls, number 1 and number 10, have been to a European and World Championships junior and senior level. You can't compete against that, unfortunately, when Nottingham have only got 2 players that are at the infancy of their GB pathway careers. So the fact that Nottingham have stuck together, have played really good team basketball, sets them in good stead for the rest of the season. For next season, sorry.
Well, posing for the pictures that I'm sure you'll see on social media very shortly there as well. And I think we're getting set for the presentation. I believe Jack Long is the captain, although Ellen Fraser looked like she was practicing the trophy lift, or maybe she was just giving a word of advice of how to lift the trophy.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that I'm never that player that has to lift the trophy first, because I would be that player that would drop it. I remember at regional championships probably 10 years ago, I was given a glass trophy for being the female player of the tournament, and honestly, the anxiety that I had, didn't even know I had anxiety till that point, of going to the middle of the crowd to then push back with a glass trophy.
Yeah. Well, fortunately no glass in today's trophy, so we won't have to deal with that.
But it does have a ball balancing on the top, so I question if that is stuck to the trophy or is it separate.
Well, I'm assuming that's the MVP ball.
Potentially, yeah, that's a good point.
It looks like an MVP ball to me, but
we don't know who's got MVP yet, do we?
No, I've not heard anything as yet. My vote would be for George Gray, but we'll see where they go with that.
Well, we've got a comment here on the sheet in front of us that the guy for Nottingham that does the team shout will deafen you, and I have headphones on and I have just been deafened by the team shout. So like I've said throughout this whole commentary this morning, Nottingham's team ethic and their ability to stick together has been phenomenal, and I think a lot of athletes and a lot of other teams watching today can learn a lot from that.
Well, they're still setting up for the presentation.
This bit always takes the longest. You've been to more basketball games than I can probably name and know, and I've been on to a fair few. And sometimes you just want the game to be over and to go and have a shower and go home, but you have to wait for this bit, which is easy when you've won gold. You want to be there.
Yeah.
When you're the team that hasn't and you're expected to win, you just sit there and you don't really, want to be a part of it. But the fact that these athletes, more specifically to Nottingham, have an opportunity to gain a medal in a sport that they have probably would never have played before if they hadn't gone to university, let alone compete at a really high level, is fantastic.
Well, the champions banner has come out now, so I guess we can't be too far away. I need to line the
I wonder
teams.
if they're going to do confetti. I always get excited when the cannons go off.
The cannons, yeah. I haven't seen any cannons. They obviously have the firework machines, whether they
Yeah, that's
pull
pretty
them
weird.
out,
I play at this venue a lot with Loughborough Lightning, and we always have the fireworks. You don't actually notice it as a player. It's more as for the spectators to notice it. But the confetti, yes, please.
Yeah, but you're not the one that has to sweep it up afterwards, are you?
Nope.
I've seen it where they have the
I'm
streamer
not going to say it
ones
too much. If they hear me through the commentary,
Yeah.
they'll probably go, come on, you can sweep up.
You can sweep it up. The
I
streamer
have
ones,
also
you get
nominated
them
someone
stuck in the
else
ceiling as well.
to hand the trophy. They did ask me this morning, and I've nominated our CEO to give the trophy. So hopefully she is somewhere down there to hand the medals and trophies out, rather than me, who knows all these players really well. It's not going to be that impressive, me handing them a medal, compared to the CEO of our NGB.
Well, I'm impressed that you got the offer and turned it down to stay with me. That's
Yeah, but they've probably seen my track record of dropping things, falling over, tripping over, hazards. So yes, I'm very happy to hand the baton over to Justine this morning.
well, they've got the table out with the trophy and the medals.
Photographers have to do all their photos and things first.
Table's been there all game. They could have done that earlier. It's always the thing of how you take a picture without being in it on a shiny trophy. You get the
Well, I'm hoping they
reflection.
haven't taken any photos of me this morning. The guy there in the grey joggers with more cameras around his neck than I can ever imagine. He's the Loughborough official photographer.
So he would
the
have had
photos
his
he
eyes
took
on
of us
you.
in our thing before we got launched. I
Media
don't know how he
day.
managed to make me look the way I did. Thank goodness for Photoshop, hey? Honestly, his skill level is phenomenal. And I'm sure some of the other photographers here are equally as talented. But we are hidden out of the way, so I'm hoping we've
He might not have seen you.
avoided
Yeah.
the camera.
Duck down a little bit. You won't see your head over the top.
No, I am.
Well, we are still awaiting the presentation ceremony to begin. Looks like most things are set up and ready, but
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's,
normally you get the teams lined up on the free throw line for this sort of
Yeah.
thing. No movement yet.
Oh, here we go. We can see Justine. It's not quite in the stream camera yet. Walking down the
Oh, there we
stairs,
go.
the CEO of British Wheelchair Basketball. Just going to talk to the presenter who has been running the comms for the audience here today at Loughborough University.
Seems to be giving a briefing, which is usually just pick up a medal and hand it to somebody.
It's now on the camera though, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's being
yeah.
showcased, so they probably don't want it to say anything. But she is very experienced. She's doing this once or twice.
Yeah, exactly.
So she'll know what
She'll
to say
know
and
what
not to say.
Yeah.
It's going to be like Big Brother when they say you're live on ITV1, please don't swear. She's not going to do that. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he was briefing her on. But she's getting a big brief there about how to put medals around people's necks. So, I don't know. Sorry to those people at home that are waiting to see their friends, family, sons, daughters, whoever you might be supporting today, pick up their medal. I really hope that it won't be much longer that you will have to wait.
Well, nobody seems in a rush, do they?
This is when I wish that streaming from home had like a Q&A thing that we could turn it into the audience. You got any questions to ask?
Yeah.
So I don't just want to keep talking down the microphone if you don't really want to listen to me anymore. You've had to put up with both of us for the last hour and a half or so.
Yeah, we've been told it'd be a couple more minutes. Before
Couple of minutes is very subjective though.
Yeah,
Does that
it
actually
is.
mean two
Yeah. So let's go into you for a minute.
Okay.
Then. Shiv, what's next in the horizon? Where are you going to?
I had my first tournament back with GB, so the girls go to Holland next week. Unfortunately, my return to training plan doesn't fit into my return, so I've been out, for anyone that doesn't know, I've been out for pretty much the whole season after the European Championships in August with a bit of a neck issue, quite a significant neck issue, that I've now had sorted. Touch wood, we're not going to have that come back. So it's just been really a case of, yes, I'm ready to go. The coaching staff, the medical staff have held me back so that I'm ready for the summer. So in 2 weeks I go to Germany, then China,
nice,
hopefully, and then a crazy summer of either camps here in the UK or local tournaments. Yeah, it's
okay.
And here we go.
I think we're ready to go with the presentation here. Justine Baines, as you say, the CEO of British Wheelchair Basketball, is out at the table, getting a very nice round of applause from the crowd.
She would have hated that,
Yeah.
knowing Justine.
And our two referees will get their medals for their performance today.
Except Ian Perskov, we don't know where Steve's gone. Maybe to the bathroom, or he might have just gone, you don't know. I think it's really important to note that they have full-time jobs as well, so for them to give up their time today to referee this game is great, and something that I really appreciate from the referees. We are very lucky as part of the GB pathway. They referee our games as often as they can within our training camps as well, so big thank you to the referees.
So we got the MVP award first. The gold basketball is for that, and a little certificate, I think it is. And no surprises really. George Gray, the MVP today.
And he will absolutely love that. Part of me wishes that there could be two MVPs, to one to each team, because I think James Hazel today has been, like you said, sometimes the players with the not the most stats don't get noticed. He's been phenomenal, but hats off to George. Fantastic achievement today to get MVP. And I don't know how many points he actually got, but I would 30,
yeah,
maybe,
probably,
and that's it. That's me
region.
guessing, but yeah, great performance, and a great performance all season as well.
So that is the most valuable player of the game. And now the University of Nottingham will go up and receive their runners-up medals here in the BUCS final. And a tremendous achievement for them to get here in the first place, but they certainly played their part in this final.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important thing to note. If they'd have came in this season, they probably never thought they would make the final of the BUCS Championships. And I'm just really glad to see that they've put on a good performance today. Every single one of them have got smiles on their faces. None of them are upset or disappointed, or they're not showing it anyway. And yeah, a great achievement for everyone at Nottingham University.
Sometimes you can be disappointed with the old silver medal, but other times it's a sign of an achievement.
Sometimes we did it in the 2018 World Championships, we win a silver medal, and yes, we'd have loved to have won the gold, but for us at that time, that was our gold medal. Sometimes silver is seen as the worst thing to win because you've lost that final game, but what they've learned and what they've gained, every single player is looking at the medal. For some of them, that could be the first medal they've ever won. So what a special achievement for Nottingham University today.
Well, our BUCS champions for 2024, the University of Worcester, and they will go up and receive their medals, and fully deserving of that. They were excellent today, and they were excellent to get here today as well.
Yeah, their semi-final game against Loughborough University was a fantastic game. And all of the games they have played this season have showcased their talent and the depth of their squad, so deserving winners here today.
Wearing 9, Emma Wickham. And number 10, Ellen Fraser.
Well, they've all received their medals. They've gone to the centre of court behind the banner, and now just the moment for the trophy lift.
National champions.
They've got to get lined up in position first of all.
That's also a really hard thing to do in wheelchairs, because you have the width of your wheels to try and navigate as well as being photogenic, if that's the right word for the photographers here today.
Well, I think they've got it set now, and the trophy is handed over, and congratulations to the University of Worcester, BUCS champions in the wheelchair basketball for 2024. And the benefit of playing the early game is you get all day to celebrate.
Yeah, for them it will be fantastic. I wonder how many of them are going to stay in Loughborough or make the journey back to Worcester and go out and celebrate. Who knows? For some of these athletes, though, they are athletes, so it's whether they stick to the traditions of being uni students or whether they realise that some of them have other commitments. For me, I'm not going to say a word. Go out and enjoy today with your friends and return to being an athlete tomorrow.
Well, fantastic performance from the University of Worcester. They've won this game by 74 points to 34, and we will get some reaction from them in just a few moments' time.
Aldi different is how much responsibility they give to each and every one of us in the business, and with that comes a lot of trust.
3 months into your training, you could be running the store on your own, responsible for ordering all the stock, making sure the staff are happy.
Aldi really believes that young people can do great things.
It's definitely something that excited me and attracted me to the role.
I felt really supported at Aldi. From day one, you're paired up with your mentor, who is with you throughout your whole journey.
You develop a really strong network with your peers, you can always pick up the phone to them.
But you all work part of a team towards the common goal.
I really valued my time in store because I think it's a really important part of you learning the practical day-to-day of store operations.
It was actually really exciting and I really enjoyed it.
It's a change every single day, and that variety really attracted me to the role.
Since I first started at ICG, I think I've progressed massively, not only in kind of the understanding of the industry and through lots of different training courses, but I think just in general confidence.
Being given all these responsibilities and seeing your work having an impact definitely gives you more confidence in your capabilities.
I feel like I gained more experience and knowledge into the private equity space, which has helped me gain more responsibility in other roles within my team.
Darren Singleton sniping. Oh, Tilly Smale is on the scoreboard, and Loughborough University surely at this stage now
Loughborough University, the Women's National League champions.
Destiny Day ends with Exeter as BUCS Super Rugby national champions.
Well, congratulations, gents. BUCS champions 2024. Tell us how you feel.
Yeah, it's really exciting. We knew coming into this game that Nottingham weren't going to make it easy for us, and they showed us that in that first quarter. But when we started to turn the screw a little bit and really exert our will in our game, it was a good performance in the end. And yeah, back-to-back years, so very happy, yeah.
George, your own performance, MVP display, a lot of points out there for you. You really took it to them inside.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, it was definitely a good team performance. Like, we came into this, you know, with the idea of everyone working together as a team. And although I may have the MVP, it's about us getting back-to-back titles.
And it was interesting, I thought, because you were forcing turnovers with that press in the first quarter. But actually, when you went into the half court, it freed up the space for you guys to attack them in transition.
Yeah, exactly. I think when we started in the first quarter, we weren't great in the half court defensively. We were a little bit lazy. So like putting that press on just injected that little bit of intensity and energy. So then when we were back in our half court, our defensive in the half court was a lot better in that second quarter. And then, like you said, it allowed us to get out in transition and freed up the space for us, for players like George and for Jack Long to attack in transition and get some good quality looks.
George, that second quarter, you guys really turned the screw. I mean, their first field goal of the quarter was the last shot of the quarter.
Was it? Wow. Yeah, no, it was a great game plan. You know, like we said, we made some adjustments and we've done really well as a team to come out and put on a good show.
And a good start to the day for the university, a chance for you to go and celebrate now.
Yes, definitely.
Well, enjoy your celebration, gents. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Cheers, thank you. Well, a great victory here today for the University of Worcester. Comfortable winners in the end over the University of Nottingham. Congratulations for them, and we hope you enjoyed our coverage at home. But for now, goodbye.
Welcome to BUCS Big Wednesday, powered by New Balance.
It's the final play, and look at the celebration.